Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we've got something a little bit different in store because we're going to have a look at the latest on the Atlantic hurricane season. Generally over the last few years I have done updates, but of course with most of the viewers being based in the United Kingdom, that's where we do our normal forecasts, that doesn't create too much interest. However, we have got perhaps some quite big storms on the way. Not only big storms in just existence, but in fact they could actually impact major land masses as well. Now, about a week ago we saw remnants of Hurricane Hilary, which I do think was a little bit overblown in some of its reporting of it. It was a major hurricane at one point, but by the time it reached the United States of America and was coming up the Californian coast, it was remnants of a tropical storm. The eye wall had collapsed. Winds were gusting at sort of 50, 60 miles per hour. Yes, there was very heavy rainfall in places, but in the end, it wasn't the most ridiculous storm we've ever seen, or even the most impactful storm we've seen in California. And of course, yes, it was the first tropical storm they've seen in many, many years, but it was pretty much remnants by the time it moved in. But we do have some actually properly dangerous storms, perhaps approaching the southeast of the United States. At the moment, we've got Hurricane Franklin, which is going to become a major hurricane. It's unlikely to impact much of the east coast. Swells could reach, we could see some periphery in terms of stronger winds and maybe some thunderstorms, and it could clip parts of Bermuda as well. But the main storm of interest is this Depression 10 here. Now, as of time of recording this, it hasn't been named yet. Again, we haven't got an update from the NHE so far today. But if this does update, which I think it will do, very likely by the time you're watching this, this will be a new named system. Now, this is going to be quite a dangerous system as it is moving due north, maybe slightly northeast, and it's pretty much going to slam the panhandle here of Florida. And it is strengthening significantly as it does. At the moment, as I said, it is just a tropical depression. Will be a tropical storm in no time and is likely on arrival to be a hurricane. It has been upgraded quite significantly in the past 24 hours. And there is the real possibility that the models could be underestimating it. We have seen systems like this before where they go from just being a tropical storm to maybe a weak hurricane to potentially even a major hurricane within about 24 hours of them forming into a tropical system. So forecasts can change very, very quickly, and there is the possibility of that happening with this system here. We also have another disturbance out in the Atlantic again over the next sort of 7 days. It's got a near zero chance, but of course this can change as well. Now, if you start by having a look at Franklin, you can see its track at the moment is actually well out into the Atlantic. As I said, it could produce some swells up across the northeast of America. Could see some thunderstorms on its outer bands, perhaps just about clipping maybe the North Carolina coast, but the major hurricane is going to remain out in the Atlantic before weakening as it heads northwards. Could just about skim Bermuda before it heads out into the North Atlantic. Now, this actually does have probably more of an interest for UK viewers than the system down towards Florida, because this is heading straight for the jet stream. And depending on its exact track, it could have quite a lot of influence for our weather in around a week's time. As it could get picked up with the jet stream, could move towards us, could head northwards, or could dissipate completely. And you can see here, out towards the northeast of Canada, when it starts to get picked up by the jet, it's still a hurricane here, and it still is in its tropical form. When it's black circle here, that means it's still a tropical system. Once it goes to a white circle, then it's post-tropical, i.e. it still has a few characteristics, but it is diminishing towards a more typical low pressure system. So this is a real strong storm at the moment. It's be a major hurricane in the next, pretty much as I speak, it will be a major hurricane. Of course, a bit of a delayed forecast, but it will be a major hurricane, and it could provide some impacts for Bermuda, but mostly will stay out to sea. But the more impactful storm is this tropical depression 10. Now, if you look at this warning cone, you can see it is heading straight for the panhandle of Florida, and it's going to smash these areas at the moment of me recording this. This is the current forecast. Of course, a lot of these timings are in American timings, so we are about 5 hours ahead of this. So at the moment, The storm is forecast to make landfall probably early morning Wednesday, so early afternoon or lunchtime UK time, so very soon. And it is moving very quickly northwards and then will head northeastwards across Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, maybe clipping Virginia before moving out into the Atlantic. But it's this yellow cone here, the next couple of days, is the really interesting point. Now, it was only disturbance a matter of hours and a couple of days ago. It was non-existent disturbance sort of by Sunday, and now is very likely to be upgraded to a tropical storm by the time you're watching this again. You're watching some slight delay from me recording this, but it will be a tropical system by the time you're watching this, and most likely will be turning to a hurricane approaching Florida. Now, at the moment, it is forecasted to be about a high Category 1, low Category 2, but as I said, the forecast has been ramping up in the past 24 hours from very little to now a low-end hurricane. So there's a real possibility it could be maybe a Category 2 and maybe even get towards a major Category 3, 4 or 5. Now, I do think it's unlikely to reach those higher extents simply because of the forecasting period, but real possibility of a Category 3 within this system. Now, if you do look at the wind speed probabilities, you can see Franklin out here towards Bermuda, but you can see this tropical depression at the moment. The likelihood is quite low at the moment because it's really still forming as I'm recording this, but this is likely to increase rapidly over the near future. If we do look at the flash flooding potential, you can see there is slight risk at the moment, but again, this is going to change substantially in the near future as we do see this system move in. And of course, the US rainfall potential, again, we're looking widely at 6 to maybe as high as 10 inches of rainfall on the Panhandle coastal areas, all the way from Tampa towards Tallahassee and across. Huge areas of rainfall. So not only could we see very strong winds, Category 1, Category 2 strength winds, rainfall is going to be significant as well. Now, this is all from the NHC, but if we actually have a look at some raw model data, this is the latest GFS. Now, you can see at the moment the system is developing here just off the coast of Mexico. Really nothing as of recording this, but it significantly develops. And by the time you're watching this on Tuesday, it will probably be in this sort of position here, where it's just off the coast of Mexico and is heading northwards. You can see Franklin out here across the east coast, slowly heading northwards and eastwards, but shouldn't impact. Again, the outer bands could just about, but shouldn't impact anywhere too far inland. But just watch this system as it strengthens out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Look at that, bang, in about a matter of 6 hours. That's the gap between the frames here. It deepens significantly to a very strong Category 1, Category 2 hurricane for slowly moving off the coast of eastern United States. Now, unfortunately, in West Central, we can't zoom in because it is, of course, German, European. We have good view of what's going on in Europe, but not particularly zoomed in view of North America. But over on WX charts, we're able to have a much more zoomed in view of this system. Now, it's well off the charts here at the moment, but as we head through Tuesday into Wednesday, you can see it starts to develop into quite a strong area of low pressure, around 988 millibars towards the centre. So it's a deep area of low pressure, but nothing ridiculous at this stage. But by Wednesday, as it approaches, it deepens to as low as 962 on approach. And that is very important. You can see how it just deepens. Hurricanes, generally, if they are deepening on approach, can provide even more severe impacts because that deepening produces significant convection, and that basically means that a strengthening storm is much stronger than a diminishing storm, as it is likely to provide stronger impacts, and of course the models could be underestimating the strengthening of it, so it could be even more severe than this. We can see in the matter of 24 hours it goes from about a 990, 988 to a 962 on impact, just west of Tallahassee here. And this is, by UK time, Wednesday afternoon. This will start to make landfall. So as a significant system before turning into just a large area of low pressure, exiting across the eastern United States by around Thursday, Friday time to start September. So it's a severe system in terms of rainfall here. And if we go back over to Weather Central now and have a look at the accumulated precipitation from this, you can see rainfall really picking up for Tuesday, Wednesday time and smashing right along that panhandle area to the west of Tallahassee as it moves northwards and eastwards. Darker purples here, showing 2 to maybe 250 millimetres towards the centre. That is 10 inches of rain and could be higher. As I said, it could be slightly more severe than the model is showing at the moment. Now, if you look at the wind speeds, these are not wind gusts, these are sustained 10-metre wind speeds. And at the moment, not much going on this view of southeast United States. You can see Hurricane Franklin off to the east with some stronger winds, could just about impact some slightly right on the coast of probably South Carolina and North Carolina there. But most of the strongest winds are out in the Atlantic. But you can see the system to the south moving up, strengthening as it does. And you see as it approaches, it significantly develops even further. And around this time on Wednesday afternoon, around 3 p.m. UK time, you can see the little node in the bottom right showing max sustained winds of 140 kilometers per hour. Now that is high-end Category 1 getting close to Category 2, sustained winds of about 80, 90 miles per hour. Now remember, this is the GFS running. It is reasonably low resolution. We're looking at a scale of a few miles or so. There is the risk that it's even higher than this in towards the centre of the eye wall. And of course, these are at 3-hour increments as well. So in the gaps between these frames, it could be slightly stronger as well. And of course, these are the sustained wind gusts. We're looking at 180, maybe 200 kilometers per hour, which is well over 100 miles per hour, getting towards 120, 130, 140. So there is a lot more strengthening needed if it was to get to major territory, but the risk is there, and this system is going to be really impactful through the middle to end of this week. We're not hearing too much about it at the moment, but this will be ramping up, and I'm sure by the time you're watching this, we will be hearing a lot more on social media about this storm, as it's going to be very impactful, not only just in its actual characteristics, but it is impacting significantly populated areas. And of course, it could provide significant flooding, as we saw from those rainfall stats, and of course, very strong winds. And it could be even stronger than what the models are showing at the moment. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Do make sure, if you are interested in these hurricanes, check out the NHCs. They've got a lot of data, and of course, you can have a look at these various charts as well. It is truly exceptional looking at these systems. Nothing that we'll ever experience in the UK will come close to the significance of a hurricane. It is truly exceptional seeing these systems, and I do pray for everyone going to be impacted by this system that it isn't as severe as the models are making out to be, and it does hopefully diminish in strength. So as I said, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.